Hey, good morning there, real world. It's Gus out in Oregon, expecting to be 104 today. They're also expecting all-time records here in Seattle. So what? We're used to it back in Jersey, right? It's Midwest, hot and humid out here, hot like a furnace and dry, and sit out in the shade and you're doing just fine. All right, our little joke yesterday. Neighbor of mine says, finally figured out how to tell the sex of a fly. I said, the hell's that? Well, she said, I found 5 of them in my house yesterday. 3 were on the beer can, 2 were on the phone. Haha. Okay, a little story here for you. Some of you saw my video on my hometown street where I grew up. I expect to be doing more of those, and I will be, because I can tell a little story about going around town circa 1955 and take you for little walks on those things we used to do. And I have a story like that today. You know, I would have probably been a good columnist because I'm able to see something, make a story out of it, hear something, make a story out of it. So I puts that out there yesterday, and I get an email from one of my first real girlfriends that I had an extended relationship with. And she wasn't from Audubon. Sorry, girls. But that's just a little tweak of the story. I'll get to that. It's how we met this girl and 2 other girls is the really neat story. You'll like this. Me and Chris Gleason and Bob Donahue used to hang out together. We used to sneak out of the house at 2 in the morning. We used to, well, one night we stole his car and got 1 block. That's a whole nother story. And used to go to Mepri, and we used to just do guy stuff, age 13, 14, 15. Well, maybe after a dance at Mepri, we used to go over to Bob's and spend the night. Go up in Bob's room, a couple cots in there, and Bob had his own telephone. And we used to make the old prank phone calls at 2 o'clock. Hey, we'd stay up half the night. You know, we'd make that, dial the phone number. Hey, someone get somebody on the phone. Is your refrigerator still running? Just prank stuff, nothing nasty. We weren't cussing anybody out. Well, this one night, we make one of those phone calls, and we gets this girl on the phone. Is your refrigerator running? I don't know, she says. Maybe like, is yours? Who is this? So Bob starts talking to her, and we start passing the phone around. We're on the phone with this girl for over an hour, and she says, or we say, hey, you got any other girlfriends? Yeah, I got a couple. Yeah, why don't you guys come on over tomorrow, next day, whatever. And so we met Nancy Borsch from Runnymede, New Jersey, who I'm still in contact with today. Chris Gleason, I just got an email from him yesterday. And the next girl in line, Pat Eilenfeld from 11th Avenue there in Runnymede, I've had this long-time relationship with, going back now to when I was 17 years old, or 6 or 15. So we go over to see Nancy the next day, and she brings Pat over, and Pat's this little, very quiet, meek little girl. And then she gets Joyce something or other to come over. So Bob Donahue pairs off with Nancy and has a multiple-year relationship along with other girls, because he never was monogamous. And Chris pairs off with Pat, and I pair off with this Joyce girl. I remember she was redhead, and she 6 foot tall and skinny. And so there we are. So now we all start dating. I don't remember if we even had a car yet. I don't think so. So we're dating, and my only memories of that time period is necking with Joyce at her house 3 bedrooms taken up, always trying to cop a feel and get it wherever else we thought we were going. Of course, I don't think I even had an idea what that was all about, except it was a thing to do. And her mom coming home and all was hiding in the closets. And other than that, I don't remember too much about Joyce, but Pat and Chris dated for a while, and Bob ended up engaged to Nancy, right, Nancy? But all the time he was playing around until the time I left. Okay, 63, I go in the service. Anyhow, that's how we meet these 3 girls over a phone call, and I just still think that's most hilarious. Nancy, I thank you for staying on the phone with us, or it would have never happened. And like I've always said, you don't know where your life is going to go if you change one thing. Because I go in the service and I come home and leave in May of 1964. And of course, the first one I rope up with Bob. Well, he's driving now. He takes me over to get Nancy. I think Chris was away in college, or yeah, I think Chris. I don't remember. Anyhow, so Bob's getting ready to take Nancy to the Runnymede or Triton prom, and Nancy's mom and Pat's mom were close friends and all that, and then still talk to Mrs. Donachie, and Bob or somebody approaches me and says, well, Pat's going to her junior prom there, this prom at Triton, would you take her? Well, my buttons about popped off because I was never going to get to a prom. So I get to go to a high school prom, wear my uniform. You've seen my pictures on now posted on, posted in my military section on my site there. So any case, then I start hanging out with Pat I'm only home for a couple weeks, and then I'm off to Germany for 3 years. I hang out with Pat and Bob and Nancy, and we do the kissing thing, and I take her to the prom, and we go to the Hawaiian Hut, if you all remember that. Right sitting back of us in that picture at the Hawaiian Hut, Maureen Vale, you're sitting in the back of us there, and a couple other high school friends there. So look at that picture of me in the middle, my uniform, Bob Donachie and Nancy on the right there, and another couple. I think I didn't really know them. Anyhow, that's out there. So anyhow, Pat and then I go off to Germany, and Pat and I correspond, and I ask her to marry me long distance, and 3 years of that, and then I break up and come back, try to patch it up. Never happened. I go back in the service off to California. Pat meets a guy, has 2 kids, and her life goes on. And brings us up to today. Pat's been divorced for years. I've lost my wife. I'm still in contact with the world. But there's how I ended up getting asked today to put 11th Avenue and Runnymede onto the internet. Well, it's not on the street things yet, so I couldn't do that one. But isn't it cool, as John Travolta would say, ain't it cool that I even get asked to do that today and have that memory going back to 61, 62, when we were still doing MEPRI and hanging out at that little White Castle thing up on the corner of Kings Highway and Black Horse Pike, which is probably gone now. But anyhow, that's my story of the day. Hope you enjoyed. This is Gus from Orion saying bye now and stay cool.